Hi there, traders, and welcome back to 2023. We're ready to kick off. Now, we've got a great sort of fundamental, right, economic backdrop here. We've got the Federal Reserve trying to manage the inflation in the US. Looks like it's topped out dramatically. We had the US non-farm payrolls on Friday, right? 2,223 versus, I think it was 200K was the forecast. And the unemployment rate was expected around 3.7, came in firmer at 3.5. Now, on the face of it, right, that's a strong dollar result. But what we're seeing is, and this is what the Fed's been trying to do, taper inflation without really disrupting employment. So what we saw on the back of these numbers as well, average earnings was lower. Okay, so that was one thing that sort of did sort of change. If you come back down here and have a look at the some of the sort of secondary numbers, factory orders, ISM non-manufacturing numbers, much worse than expected, right? Which tells you, okay, we've still got a robust employment market, but the back behind the scenes, it's looking pretty ugly, right? Which means the interest rate hikes have taken effect and they are sort of really cooling the market. So let me just have a quick look at where the charts are, just to give you a bit of an update. So you see a lot of big moves here on Friday following the non-farm payrolls, $1 sell-off, right? So once again, you've got to identify what's going on. Employment sort of pushed to the side a touch now because it was one of the key gauges, but now they've got to manage the overall economy, right? So if you look through, say, the currency pairs here, we've got some interesting setups. I'll come back to that in a second. But we saw a little bit of a clean out on Friday. And if you come across to the global markets, right, you see the same thing on the dollar index, obviously the euro, the Dow Jones Mini, S&P Mini, Nasdaq. Everything's sort of taking a bit of a little bit of a reshuffle, right? The crypto is not doing too much. Oil still under a bit of pressure here at 74 bucks, and gold, I tell you, out of all of them, gold is still sort of climbing to the top side. Now, so what we have to do is work out, you know, what's going on from here. What do we focus on? Now, it's pretty clear. Right, we had the non-farm payrolls. You know what? This start of this week is really where the markets really connect and start to, you know, build some sort of foundations for 23. Now, the trading rooms at the banks will be filling up. You know, everyone's had their holidays and they are back to work. What we are seeing with that sort of weaker dollar complexion, with the weaker secondary numbers, we are seeing the equity markets rally, right? To me, it really does look like, obviously, we saw inflation top out at 9.1. We're back down to like 7.1%. We are seeing a clear risk-on profile, right? This has got to make you pretty confident to sort of start trading. But before you do that, right, just have a look at what's coming out, because it's a pretty clear and obvious situation here where the focus is this week. Monday, yeah, a few little bits and pieces. Have a look around. Tuesday, Wednesday, Aussie retail sales. It's a bit of a number. You come into Thursday's trading and got Chinese inflation numbers. Yeah, that's great. But Thursday in the North American session, this is the big one, right? This is what we've been waiting for, inflation numbers. Now, we've just come through a very busy retail sort of trading sort of section. Inflation numbers, let's just see how what this comes out. This will determine whether the Fed, okay, it's already been factoring in after the employment numbers, that the Fed may only raise by 0.25 in February. This will determine it, right? So, and what you can really do is, if you've got access to a good service, is really come in and fine tune these numbers. Looking at the expected number, okay, 6.5, the range 6.3 to 7%, right? The previous number is 7.1. So I can tell you very clearly, if we get a print around 6.3, or even 6.5 for that matter, but below 6.3, we are going to see a huge dollar sell-off, right? Massive, right? It means they've probably gone too far with the interest rate hikes, and we see it come back. So when I look at the calendar, I plan my trading week, and this is what you've really got to get used to doing is, okay, if I just come back to the overall calendar, there's not a lot going on. And every week there's a central focal point. And I can tell you for the global markets, equity markets, currency markets, commodities, everything, right? This is the big number. And it comes, you know, well, really, I know last week was the first week of January, but for the first week of trading, it really starts this week. This sets the tone for policy potentially for the next 6 months, if not 12 months, right? So make sure you are looking at this. Now, it doesn't mean you can't make a bit of cash during the week, right? Having a look at various opportunities, but they're pokey little opportunities. Okay, Aussie retail sales, you could get something out of that. And don't forget, you've got Fed Chairman Powell speaking. They're all sort of sideline events. The main event is the inflation numbers in the US, right? So organize yourself around what your goals and those sorts of things are around this week of trading. I'm telling you, I'm pretty much, unless something spectacular jumps out at me with the on the technical side of things, I am waiting for those US inflation numbers. Now, if I just come back to the currencies here just for a second, because there's some really good setups here. And what I'm talking about, this is what you've got to identify as well. If you have a look, I'll focus on Euro, Sterling, Aussie, Kiwi, right? We've seen that the dollar clean out, right? Well, obviously, the inflation numbers on Thursday will be the crunch ball or the crunch number to work out whether the dollar goes up or down. And that obviously means Euro up or down. So right now, though, it's Monday, right? We've got till Thursday. So it's a long time coming. This thing is so overbought. We've got a resistance line up here. So for those trend traders, I'd say I'll be pretty confident at this stage to be looking to sell back up towards this resistance trend line. So if you feel like, well, I'm not totally confident there with momentum, right? You're waiting for it to go up and then come back down, because I can't see this thing going through the roof ahead of those inflation numbers. And it's come a long way and it's massively overbought. So to me, if anything, if you're looking for a trade, that's got to be it. As I said, I don't usually get involved on Mondays, but we are seeing a very similar profile across the board here. Sterling, Aussie also, and Kiwi, right? I guess on the reverse side of things, on the downside, you're seeing this on the dollar pairs, but I would imagine some sort of slight correction, like the dollar coming back a bit before Thursday. It's just a matter of trying to work out where all those subsidiary numbers come in, and that's the glue that sort of moves the currencies around. All right, so that's pretty much it. There's nothing more to really get yourself confused about. You come in, focus on where the major opportunities are. Okay, if I just come back to the calendar, you can isolate the key events, right? And I'm telling you, this is the key event for the month, right? And then really come in. We've got the detailed numbers here. The year on year I'm focusing on, and these are the numbers that you need to be looking at. All right, that's where the action is. It doesn't get simpler than this. You don't need to go thrashing around doing all these, crazy analysis, trying to work out where everything is, because the answer's in front of you. So each day, just have a look what the equities are doing. This will tell you where the momentum on the dollar is. Okay, at the moment, it's a risk-on profile. As I said, Euro, Sterling, Aussie, Kiwi rallying, dollar falling. I expect that to sort of gyrate through the week until we get to Thursday, and that's game day. All right, guys, good luck and all the best for 2023. I've got some exciting things. I'm restructuring a few things with the course, which is going to make, more engaging, more interactive, and a simplistic way to either trade technically or fundamentally. It's going to knock your socks off. All the best. Have a good week. Cheerio.